Hello everybody and welcome to a special Christmas edition of the WNx F1 show with myself and Kyle, who's joining me this week as a guest commentator. This week we're going to be showcasing round 8 at Silverstone. This week we've got video on boards from Tucker Harley, myself, Crekkan and Fire Samuel. And as always we thank Crekkan for putting together the vanilla edit to make the show possible. Before we get into this week's news, let's have a little look at what happened last time out in Canada. And we're away for the Canadian Grand Prix. Mr. Tans doesn't get a great start.
Oh, Tucker crashes into his teammate. Crekkan on the outside as he sets another fastest up.
Yeah, wait no more. Andy makes a mistake. Travis takes. Crekkan's making a pass on the inside of Mr. Tans as well. And Fire Samuel again keeping it tight for the apex, able to get on the power a little bit earlier. And Andy quite back to back out. He's made the move stick, but a fantastic overtake. Now Sam Jakes gets on the AstroTurf and he slows his car down, and Jamie Hall makes a bit of a mistake. Travis keeps it, and he's done that. That's a carbon cop. Dan Hall was going to go around the outside, I think, but I think he got a bit of hose.
Fire Samuel wins the Canadian Grand Prix. Here comes Crekkan.
So some surprising results then last week in the Canadian Grand Prix, the first wet race of the GP1 season. Mr. Tan's getting himself onto the podium, and some other people really struggling to get to grips with the wet tyres. After the race, despite all the close racing and some side-by-sides going into the final chicane, there was no claims put in after the race, so no stewarding for the Canadian Grand Prix. GP2 then saw another pole and win from the rookie Joe Foxwell in a wet Canadian Grand Prix. Schumacher IMA still leading that championship with 131 points. Ferrari fan 28 points behind. These two not scoring too much points in the last couple of races. Joe Foxwell putting himself up into 6th in the GP2 championship despite only racing 2 races so far this season. Force India still lead the constructors with Red Bull 6 points behind. GP100 this Thursday saw another pole and win from Crekkan, returning to form. Crekkan still leads the GP100 championship, only by 11 points. Andy Coib trailing behind. McLaren of Cube and Crekkan still leading the constructors in GP100. GP100 fate hanging in the balance the last couple of weeks, but we've had a new influx of drivers in the 2 halls, Jamie and Dan, joining the Force India team. So we should see some better racing in GP2 division from here on out. Last Wednesday's classic race at Imola saw a pole position and a race win from Andy Coib, his first this season, in a completely dry Imola Grand Prix. Fire Samuel still leads that championship with 26 points, but Andy Coib is closing in on him, only 7 points behind. Terror Racing of Killers and Fire Samuel still leading the team battle with 28 points. Team 3, Andy Coib all on his own, 7 points behind as well. And this week, instead of a driver bio, we have a new slide, Teammate Challenge. I've been putting some data together for the GP1 teammates. As you can see on the championship tables, I'll try and finish those in the next week or two and get a full feature on every team on the forums in the next couple of weeks as well. But today we've got the Lotus F1 team, and Kyle, I believe you're going to take us through this slide.
Yeah, thanks very much, John. Yeah, as we can see here, Lotus F1 team, the strongest lineup arguably we have on the grid, with Snipes and Pravus both helping to lead Lotus F1 team to the top of the Constructors' Championship at this current moment in time. We also see here, looking at the data, that Pravus has got the most wins and the most poles out of the 2 drivers, and is leading the 2, and is the team #1 driver at the moment. With 91 points for him and 62 points for Snipes. Snipes has got a lot of work to do to catch up to his teammate.
It was arguably one of the better pairings at the start of the season, but Snipes has had a bit of a tumultuous season so far. I've expected a little bit better from him, but hoping that the Lotus team can put a stronger result in Silverstone today.
Yeah, I hope so too. Silverstone is a very fast-flowing circuit, and the Lotus team is known for their straight-line speed, so this should really help the team out, especially from early testing around this track. Snipes has been very fast in his qualifying, and we hope to see those results helping him towards catching his teammate.
Yeah, and in practicing they've been really, really strong as well, and been putting a lot of time and effort in. They believe that they might be able to pull off a 1-2 here, but you never know with Silverstone, the weather can always change.
Yeah, the weather can always change here in Britain.
So let's have a little look at the championship tables then before we go into the British Grand Prix. Crekkan still leading the GP1 drivers table with 113 points. Fire Samuel only 8 points behind, and Andy Coybe only 24 points behind, so very, very close at the top. As we just said there, Lotus is leading the Constructors' Championship, and they have been doing all season, putting in some really consistent results, even when both of them have had poor races compared to the other teams. Sauber F1, 20 points behind. So the Silverstone Grand Prix then in Great Britain, an 18-turn circuit, very fast, very flowing circuit. You can run a low downforce section here and capitalise on the 4 real long straights here, but it lose you a lot of time in Sector 2 and the final very, very tricky technical few corners in Sector 3. 2 DRS zones as always. We've got the medium and hard compound tyres here, but the weather's looking really tentative. It's going to split the strategies of quite a few teams, Kyle, because the qualifying session's dry, but the race is very, very overcast. The weather it does look like it's going to rain, but the teams just don't know when. So some split strategies in qualifying. How do you think that's going to affect the grid here today?
Well, as previously mentioned about a Lotus team being in qualifying, it will be interesting to see what the team manager thinks as to whether they're going to go for a more wet setup to help them in the race, or whether they're going to stick to a dry setup and get away cleanly at the start of the race. But it'll definitely split the grid. See some of the normally slower drivers move their way up and to a more higher up place, and it will definitely spice up the first lap or two with the different driving styles.
Yeah, definitely, and even though this is quite a wide circuit, it's pretty difficult to overtake here because there's so many fast downforce corners. If you're too close to the car in front and you lose the downforce on your front wing, you can get some real bad understeer. So it's so difficult to stay real close in the turbulent air of a car in front here. Even though the track's wide, you think it'd be good to overtake, but it's really just not. Season 2 podium, then we saw Tuppers win the race, and Bofar got onto the podium in Season 2. I know he's a fan of the show, so hello Bofar. Shiraz in 3rd place, rounding off the podium. Fastest lap was 1:31.268 from Tuppers. I think if the weather stays off, we might see that broken today. I mean, we've historically, all the tracks so far this season, we've seen it broken. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that gets broken. Today I'm going to commentate, and Kyle's going to be commentating with me. Anything to add to that, Kyle?
No, I just can't wait to see what the race has to offer.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. I always enjoy the British Grand Prix, driving it and watching it. So let's go down to the grid then, and we have a pole lap from Pravus. Let's have a little look at that before we go down to the race. So qualifying for the British Grand Prix then, coming into Club Corner, you need to take as wide a line as possible to maximise the speed. Coming down into Abbey, the first turn on this very fast flowing circuit. We're on board with Pravus, who took the pole here on Sunday. Heavy braking zone, it's very, very tricky technical section into the village section of the Silverstone circuit. You need to maximise the track width to get a real good exit out of the turn 4 corner to maximise your speed coming down the old straight, the Wellington straight. Heavy braking zone then now, bringing the car down into second gear, 130 kilometers an hour. Real patient on this corner before you open the throttle back up. Third, fourth, quick shift to avoid the wheel spin, and then we're coming down to the full speed, flat out Copse corner, the old turn 1, absolutely fantastic corner. Maximise your speed coming through here to carry it through Maggis and Beckis. Any mistake there will cost you a ton of time because you'll lose it coming through this real tricky fast flowing section. Bringing it back down to 5th gear and maximising the whole of the track, getting on the power as soon as you can into this second DRS zone. Coming down here and maxing the gears out at 318 kph, onto the brakes, drop it down into 5th, and come around that corner as fast as you possibly can. Heavy braking zone now into the real technical final few turns of the track. Onto the power nice and early, avoid that wheel spin, quick shift if you need to, and across the line in a 1:29.966. And Pravus takes pole position, his second of the season, but so close at the front of the grid. Fire Samuel only 5 thousandths of a second off, and Stuart only 5 thousandths of a second off as well. Josh only a 10th off. Crekkan put in a 5th place. Not a great qualifying session for him compared to his track record, but he's only 2/10ths off the time. Probably put a wet setup on the car. Now, we really split the strategies of many teams here. The weather showed 94% rain in the race. Let's see if that happens, because the weather looks real tentative. Obviously, the dry setups are gonna be a lot quicker during the start of this race. So down the grid, then we've got Pravus on pole. We've got 4 PVRs in this race. As we sit on the grid, 12,000 horsepower, waiting for those 5 red lights to go out. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and we're away at the British Grand Prix. A lot of wheel spin off the line then from Crekkan. That might lose him a little bit of position. He's just gone onto the grass a little bit as well, but Sam Jenks has not been able to capitalise that and get past him. So we got Pravus off the line really cleanly, and all the top 5 have stayed in formation. Pravus in front. Oh, a little tap from the side there. I wonder who that was. It looked a little bit like JBPNE hit him there, Kyle.
It was JPNE, but it seems like Tucker's got a penalty now.
I don't know what Tucker got a penalty for. The race director's not been kind enough to show us that, but that's not what you need on the first lap, having a penalty. That's going to put him really far behind the pack now. As we're back on board with Crekkan chasing Dan Hall in 5th place, putting himself up into 5th place when Crekkan got tapped there and went a bit sideways. Pravus still leading the race, then coming through Maggott's and Beckett's section, but Fire Samuel actually, he's closing in on a little bit here. I'm not sure if Pravus is taking it easy, or he's maybe made a mistake through Stowe Corner, and that's carried through. Can Crekkan make this pass there on Dan Hall? He doesn't really look to have any speed advantage. Now this is first. Samuel's going for a pass here on the inside into the final corner, but he's not been able to make it stick, and he's had to back out of that. He was no point going through there side by side at all. Of course, Pravus has led a couple of races out of sync with his pit stops so far this season, but he's never. In Bahrain he got pole and led for the first 2 laps, I think, Kyle, am I right there? And he got a penalty?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, and they had an unfortunate penalty caused by the game, which he wasn't meant to get.
But he's had a up and down season so far, where he's been on the pace or massively off the pace and real struggling. So looking forward to see what Pravus can do here, and whether he can just control that pack and stay out in front. He needs to keep it nice and calm, mistake free, as we see Crekkan still trying to get past Dan Hall in 5th, but like I said in the intro, just look at the understeer that Crekkan's got on the car, just following Dan Hall within sort of half a second. The turbulent air of the car in front really affects the front downforce of the car, and sometimes it's actually better just to drop back and then pull the time back through Maggott's and Beckett's and down the straight. So out in front then we see Pravus still in the lead. Is that Josh had just made a move on Snipes though, and Snipes is down into 4th position now, and Josh has promoted himself into podium positions. Now he's staring at Fire Samuel and wondering if he might try and make a pass on him as well and chase down the leader for the lead of this race. Dan Hall just getting on the grass there, but it didn't really seem to lose him much time.
Dust tyres might affect him through here. Crekkan might be able to get a good run off the next corner if Dan Hall doesn't get very good traction.
Now, we can see there, Crekkan took a much wider line, opening up turn 4 a little bit more, and he had a much better exit than Dan, but there was nowhere for him to go. Dan's car just in the way.
Well, down the inside. Oh.
No, he took a lot of grass to take the speed through there, but he made the move stick and he's back up into 5th position. Now Josh is all over the back of Samuel here, going into Stowe corner.
Wise not to go down the inside, very dangerous to go down there.
Definitely, it's definitely not a corner you want to go through side by side, but none of these corners are really. They're so fast and flowing. Everybody wants to use all the track to get the car through here, and if you can't use all the track, then it slows you down significantly. Fire Samuel pulling out a little gap to Josh, probably about half a second, but as we look down the road, Pravus is out in clean air and he's not being affected by any of this, so he's been able to pull out a little gap of about 1.2 seconds to this lot. All these fighting for position now and having to defend really gets slowed down, and this could really help Pravus out.
Yeah,
Fire Samuel having to downshift into 6th into that first corner. That's allowed Josh to get right up to the back of him again, but Samuel takes those sections of corners really, really nice and gets a really good exit, and he's left Josh in the clutches of Snipes. We're only on lap 2, so DRS hasn't been enabled yet. But regardless of that, Josh has closed back up to Fire Samuel. The straight line speed of that McLaren is very impressive. He cannot have a wet setup on that car at all. So coming through Stoke corner again, Fire Samuel leaves it in 7th gear, taking a bit more grass than you usually should through there, but maximising his speed. But regardless of that, Josh is still on the back of his gearbox. I wonder if
that DRS through here.
Well, they will next lap, but Josh makes the move. Excuse me. But Samuel just will not let go, but he had to eventually. Crekkan locks up his tyres and goes off the track. It leaves Dan Hall and Jamie Hall a little bit of room on track there. Dan puts himself back up into 5th position. And Jamie Hall's going to go for it as well inside the first corner. Crekkan saw him coming and he left him room, but actually Crekkan lost out big time there because it put him onto the grass. Jamie Hall through and Sam Jenks through, and Crekkan down into 8th place now. That's not very good. Now we've got the engineer on the Force India's radio saying rain in 10 minutes time, so that's definitely going to spice things up. We're on lap 5. These option tyres are supposed to last around 8 laps, but and what's this in front of these two here? Jamie Hall and Sam Jenks getting a bit close to each other. And they've spun, the tyres have touched, and Sam Jenks has come off worse in that and spun, and Crekkan's put himself back up into 6th place, saw the mistake and said, thank you very much, I'll have that back. And Mr. Tans has pushed himself back up into 7th. I think he's just made a pass on Jamie Hall there, Kyle.
I think so too. Towards that corner there.
I don't usually see passes there, so well done, Mr. Tans. Fresh off his podium in the Canadian Grand Prix, Mr. Tans will probably be very motivated in this race. And he's already on the attack by the look of it. And Josh has made it into 2nd place a couple of laps ago. Samuel's still on the back of him though, as we start lap 6 of the British Grand Prix, and all the way up ahead Pravus has got a real nice gap now, so he can just calm down, take it easy. He doesn't have to watch the guys behind him, just concentrate on his lines and not make a mistake. Samuel takes a lot of speed through that corner and closes up behind Josh, but there was no way to get past him. He'll have DRS though now. He gets a much better exit from turn 4. DRS is open.
Josh has a straight line speed though, maybe.
He does.
Or DRS doesn't need to do much.
That McLaren is very, very fast. I wonder if Josh Kerr's abused then. We've not had a video on board from Josh in quite a while. It's a shame we didn't have one in the British Grand Prix today. That would have been most of the top 5 on PVR.
One stop to go now.
Now, Crekkan's all the way down in last place, A bit of contact there with Supeless Luke in front of him, but the DRS open, he should make the pass nice and easy. Now I think, Kyle, what must have happened here is Crekkan's come in on lap 5 and put new option tyres on. The Force India not looking like it's very kind on its tyres at all.
Either that, or because he knows the rain's coming, he'll get maximise the new option tyres compared to the rest of the field, who are going to probably stay out on their options as long as they can until the rain arrives.
That is a very good point. Now we see Josh going into the pits, Pravus in front of him, followed by Fire Samuel. So the top 3 coming into the pits. Let's see what tyres they're going to put on. So we're on lap 6. A lap ago we said engineer of Force India said there was rain coming in 10 minutes. But we've not heard anything on anybody else's radio. So hopefully the Force India team have got it right. So Tucker Harley in 11th then after his first lap penalty. So he's put himself back into the race, and Crekkan, obviously the faster car here, as we see the raindrops starting to fall in sector 3. Is Crekkan going to go for a pass into turn 1?
It just doesn't have the straight line speed.
No. So we see some cars.
Tucker Harley.
Go on, Kyle.
Oh, it's Tucker Harley running around into the grass again. Crekkan might try and maximise that with Tucker Harley getting bad wheel spin after that corner. Try and get him in the DRS.
Yeah, we see it again. Crekkan takes a much wider line, and he's already side by side with Tucker as they pass the DRS activation line. So he's well in front now in 8th position. Crekkan moving. Oh, Dan Hall went for a gap that wasn't there, and T-boned Tucker Harley then. Tucker's lucky not to have come off worse. I wonder if Dan Hall might have been given a penalty for that.
He's definitely not backing off after that incident. He's keeping right on the back of Tucker Harley there.
But he's got fresh tyres and he's going for it into Stowe. Oh, they've touched again.
Oh dear.
Damn, that was a bad place to try and go for a pass. You've obviously got the speed, you've got the tyres, but exercise a bit of patience. Now that slowed him down even more because he backed off and let Tucker get back on track, and obviously Tucker's not taking the speed through Beckett's section, and Dan Hall's had to sit behind him. But now with DRS, Dan Hall puts himself up into 9th place. The sky's very grey, the rain's falling, but these dry compound tyres still with plenty of grip to give. Now having a look at the tyre compounds chosen here, we've got Fire Samuel on option tyres, we've got Josh in front on option tyres, but look at this, we've got Stewart in 2nd position. He's actually undercut Josh and Samuel. Flick to the pits. I don't know what the race director was thinking then, because that was some close racing coming up. Josh is going on around the outside of Stewart here, and he's made the move. Stick. The straight line speed on that McLaren is ridiculous. That's mental. Samuel gets a bit out of shape there, but keeps his car in check. He's just lost maybe a tenth or two to Snipes in front of him.
The raindrops starting to look heavier now, so maybe that was part of the sliding going on there for Fire Samuel.
So 2 races in a row, we've got rain falling in GP1 after a very, very dry season so far. This is really going to spice the action up, and drivers are going to have to think on their feet. Race engineers obviously providing so much information, but drivers making the ultimate call. They're out on track, they know the conditions, so it'd be good to see which drivers make the right call and which drivers make the wrong call today. Fire Samuel closes up on Snipes a little bit. We've got Pravus being pestered by Josh in 2nd position. Now, I hear on the radio that Snipes went in on lap 5, performed the undercut on Josh and Fire Samuel, but actually both of the Lotus drivers are playing the long game here, and they've both put prime tyres on, so they're going to be under pressure from Josh and Samuel over these next 3 or 4 laps while these option tyres are in their peak. DRS open for Fire Samuel, then can he close in on Snipes? Snipes obviously has DRS as well because he's within range of Josh in front of him. Samuel closes up under braking though, much more confident with those option tyres than the prime runner in front of him. What is this? Kyle, what is happening here?
Oh dear. So obviously there's not enough rain to make the intermediate tyres work at the moment. Oh my god, 35 seconds slower that lap. Maybe that's because he was in the pits, but he's definitely going to have to switch. This rain looks atrocious right now. I mean, definitely 1 or 2 laps. Yeah, so will Tucker Harley stay out on those intermediates, in fact?
Yeah, I mean, when it says that it's going to rain in the race, it's an indication that it's going to rain, but you don't always know what type of rain it is. It could be heavy, it could be light. We could have this and on dry tyres to the end of the race. Who knows? It's definitely a game now where the drivers need to think about the track conditions and then think about what they need to do. And obviously Tucker Harley made the call to go on inters. Maybe it was a bit of a gamble because the track still looks rather dry, and the temperature on these intermediate tyres, as we saw on his readout, very, very high. Far too high for them to be providing any grip to him. So realistically, he should get back in the pits and take them off this lap. As we see in front, Snipes just tried to go around the outside of Josh there, but just didn't have the room, and they touched a little bit, but the racing at the front, the top 4 have pulled away from the pack phenomenally, and the racing is so close. This is really exciting, Kyle.
Yeah. Will he slide through this corner again, or can he actually...
He's kept it composed this time. Now we saw a little graphic flick up on Samuel's screen there. His tyre's still looking very good. Now the rain's come down and the track temperature should have dropped a little bit, so it should extend the life of these option tyres. I would say probably 7 to 8 laps, the actual length that they're supposed to last for. The front left really takes a battering here, but as we saw the graphic come up, the front tyres were one in a nice even way, so the lower temperature on track is really protecting that front left tyre. He just can't close up under braking, Kyle, can he?
No, definitely not. He's, I think, lacking a bit of the straight line speed as well, compared to these Lotuses. But he's definitely going on the outside, maybe. Oh no, he holds back. Oh no, what's happening?
Well, he's flicked back. Oh, and Samuel's made the pass.
Overtake.
Samuel's made the pass into turn 18. Absolutely beautiful. I saw him before we went to Tucker Harley in the pits there, putting dry tyres back on his car. I saw Samuel take a little bit of a wider line to maximise the exit, and he's made the pass before turn 1. That was really superb driving from Samuel there. Puts himself up into 3rd place.
Well, it's a little tap from behind there from Snipes. Wouldn't have helped him coming out of that corner.
He's kept it all together. Snipes now having the DRS. Samuel goes into a defensive position, forces Snipes around the outside, but he just can't go. Oh, they've touched! That could have been a lot worse. We saw Sam Jenks and Jamie Hall touching at that corner earlier on in the race, and Sam Jenks did a full pirouette on the circuit, obviously gone into ballet rather than Formula 1 driving. That could have been a lot worse for Fire Samuel. Takes a lot of the grass going into Stowe there.
Unsettled after that accident, especially the top of the front 2 getting away now, and the constant pressure from Snipes behind.
Yeah, Snipes is really up on his gearbox. Sam keeps his lines nice and tight through there and trying to pull a little gap to Snipes, which is done. Snipes will close up a little bit under DRS. Now, it's getting a bit darker, but the track's not really getting much wetter.
No, it still looks completely bone dry.
It does take a lot of curb going into there. I mean, all the other drivers try and avoid that red curb. Samuel's suspension must be a little bit softer than everybody else's because he can take it. It doesn't really unsettle the car. And Josh and Pravus now 2.5 seconds in front. Andy Coybe has retired from the race. Do you know anything about that car? We seem to have lost connection with Kyle. Are you still there, mate?
Oh yeah, he's still there.
So Snipes has got the inside line, then going into turn 8. But Samuel holds his line on the outside. A little bit of contact again, more or less forced his way through, said to Snipes, this is my position. I'm in 3rd, and I'm keeping it. And he keeps the position. Snipes is... Oh, I thought he was going to move to go into Stowe there and try and overtake him like Dan did on Tucker Harley earlier. That wouldn't have ended well.
He's definitely not going to give up this place easily. Snipes been tapping him, keep poking that Fire Samuel here. He just doesn't want to give up this third place.
And he's gone much better. It's Samuel's gone onto the grass a little bit, and Snipes has got DRS. He's gone around the outside. He should be able to make this move stick. Samuel's got no curse to defend, and he's just got to let him go. Snipes back up to third place. Great racing.
But will he be able to replicate the move he did earlier and go up the inside?
He just gets on the curb with his right wheel there. That wouldn't have helped him under braking. He's not got the drive out of this corner. He's going to have to concede that Snipes, as we start lap 13, has moved himself up into third, and he's kept the position. Samuel using all the track there, though. He doesn't want it. He's not giving up.
Interesting. I think Josh was in the pits or something, because first was back up to third place, Snipes in second, and Pravus is still out in first.
You're right. I wonder if he's... Yeah, I'm getting news from the pit lane. He's put intermediate tyres on the car. He's done a Tucker Harley, and I don't think that's a good move at all.
Still too early, in my opinion. Look at the grip these guys have
got. Yeah,
got.
I mean, these guys aren't slowing down. We're still in the 133s at the moment. The track temperature's obviously dropped a little bit, but these the temperature on these dry tyres is still in a very, very good working range.
Despite you saying the colder temperatures will help the left front tyre on these options, Barcelona's definitely struggling to keep up with Snipes now, because Snipes are primes and they just don't.
I mean, in testing, we saw that there was probably around about 3 or 4 tenths of a second between these two tyre compounds. In the first and second sector, both tyre compounds were almost a match for each other. In the very highly technical final few corners is where the option tyre really gave the amount of traction to pull a bit of time out on the prime tyres. But the consistency that these primes can put in here, even though they're 3 tenths down on the options, makes them a much better race tyre, in my opinion. So we start lap 14, and we've got a Lotus 1-2 here at the British Grand Prix. No sign of where Josh is. Crekkan's almost 6 seconds off in 4th position. Fire Samuel, if he finishes ahead of Crekkan, will move himself closer to first place in the Drivers' Championship. So I'm sure that's all that's going through his mind at the moment. The two Lotus drivers just want a good result. I don't think they've had a race this year without one of the drivers having some issues. Fire Samuel just closes up though on Snipes there at the end of the Wellington Straight. But it just doesn't have the traction out of the corners.
The graphic on the screen is definitely showing a lot of tyre wear now.
Yeah, front left really taking some battering, and you can see he's moving back down into 6th as he goes through Stowe Corner due to the understeer he's getting from that front left tyre when it comes under load. But he carries a lot more speed into Maggots Beckett's Chapel section. Closes up again on Snipes, but it's just the traction he's struggling with here. Snipes pulls out a little bit. He pulls a bit of time back under DRS. Load on the front left tyre, and Snipes gets away a little bit. I think if I was Samuel, I'd be thinking about pitting and putting primes on now. What do you think, Kyle?
It's the worst possible moment for a driver to decide what tyres. But the track conditions just aren't changing.
Yeah.
You have to change tyres. You'll get a puncture if you stay out too long on them. Not to mention the amount of times you'll lose anyway, just for being on worn tyres.
I mean, the weather doesn't seem to be getting any worse. It's raining pretty consistent, very fine rain. It's not really soaking the track through. Silverstone's drainage system working very well, and there isn't even any spray on the tyres. I mean, I'd gamble it if I was, because look at that front left tyre, Kyle. It's almost red now.
So if he does go into primes now, that'll probably see him to the end of the race.
Yeah,
10 laps or something.
Yeah, definitely. The prime tyre is rated for 12 to 13 laps, as we see Josh has retired from the race, put intermediate tyres on, obviously come out the pits, hugely hot, no grip, took a gamble for a couple of laps. I wonder if he's caused some damage to the car. Maybe he's gone off the track into the gravel trap where he's retired from this race. And look at the front tyres on Crekkan's car.
They are red.
Now we said,
Don't know how.
We said earlier that the Force India isn't very kind on its tyres in this race. Now we're on lap 15. He pitted lap 5, so he can't have taken these tyres 10 laps. So Crekkan so far must have done 2 stops.
Yeah, must have done. He probably will be coming into the pits at the same time as Farsmill then. Although, just looking on the mini-map at the side of the screen, I don't think Farsmill's pitted. He stayed out.
No, he hasn't. He has stayed out. And Crekkan comes into the pits then. Was in 4th position. He's 11 seconds off podium place. And Dan Hall should overtake him now. Now, I'm guessing if he's made 3 stops, he's going to put primes on. He's used all his option tyres up. So if the rain stays as it is, then Crekkan, no more pit stops for him until the end of the race.
Unless rain picks up and it actually does start to get wet on the track.
And we never know. Silverstone, famed for its unpredictability. Stays away from the line, then doesn't want to get a penalty and comes out in 7th position. Sam Jenks 33 seconds behind. Mr. Tan's in front of him in 6th place. Mr. Tan's having a good race. So far this season, Mr. Tan's has retired from quite a few races, so it's nice to see him still in the race at this point.
No, I predict, actually, if Farsmill does come into the pits at the end of this lap, he might come out just in front of Mr. Tan's. That would be a very interesting battle.
Well, Crekkan's only 7 seconds off Mr. Tan's now, so, I mean, Samuel's tyres look absolutely shot. He needs to come into the pits, or Mr. Tan's and Crekkan are going to form a nice little undercut on him to gain some of that time back. I don't think Crekkan's going to get... I don't think he would possibly jump him. He was 11 seconds behind before he pit, but you never...
Crekkan will stay.
Crekkan taking far too much of the curve there. Got a little corner cut warning as we do indeed see Fire Samuel coming into the pits, putting prime tyres on. So he's planning on going to the end of the race on those tyres.
Yep. Right, so now I have to see if my prediction comes true. Will he come out just in front of Mr. Tan's?
Now we've got a car coming through the first turn on the minimap, and that was Dan Hall moving himself up into 3rd place, and Mr. Tan's.
Oh, that was a bit of dirty driving there, blocking him as soon as he comes out the pits.
Well, I believe he was entitled to do so.
Yeah, violently done so, but it's in the rules.
Yeah, not very sportsmanlike, not leaving him room. Mr. Tan's had to back off. But Mr. Tan's in 5th position, really good for him. I'm not Oh, Samuel's going to go around the outside, but Mr. Tan's up on the inside. He's capitalised on both of the mistakes.
Oh dear.
Mr. Tan's into 3rd place. Excellent driving.
If that isn't karma, if that is not karma, I don't know what is. Farsmill blocking Mr. Tan's, coming out of the pits violently like that, and then he getting held up by Dan Hall around the outside. That is just deserved.
That was a brilliant moment. One I'm sure that will be remembered all season. That was a brilliant overtake. Mr. Tan's just taking the opportunity to take 2 cars up the inside there. Now, Fire Samuel got DRS open. Really closing in.
His straight line speed. His straight line speed is a lot better against Mr. Tan's McLaren. Definitely not set up the same way as his teammate was.
Yeah, Fire Samuel lunged up on the inside. A really clean overtake. That was absolutely brilliant.
It's not a move you see often for Fire Samuel, lunging up the inside of someone, but after that Dan Hall incident, he is not happy with Mr. Tan's taking his 3rd place from him.
We go around turn 1 and Mr. Tan's wants it back. He definitely wants it back. Fire Samuel's been under pressure from everyone he's raced with so far today. Not having the easiest of races, but I'm sure a very fun race as we see Crekkan going up the inside there look like Jamie Hall. And Mr. Tan's just dropped back a tiny bit behind Fire Samuel now. Only 2/10 separate them though, but the prime runners, the Lotus guys, they made absolutely the right call when they came in on lap 5 and 6, putting prime tyres on there. 27 seconds up the road.
Oh, this rain does look a lot heavy. Oh no, what's happening here? Side by side. Well, that is a lot of trust from Mr. Tans there.
Speechless.
A lot of trust.
That is. These two drivers obviously raced against each other for the last 2.5 seasons. Yeah, as you say, there's a lot of trust Mr. Tans put into Fire Samuel there to give him room to go into Stowe like that. But then Samuel...
Oh, so you go on,
yeah, he just takes it back again. These two are swapping positions every lap. What was you going to say, Kyle?
I was just going to say about the amount of cars Fire Samuel saved up, but he said what I was going to say about him overtaking through the DRS.
Yeah, and will he be able to put this? It's really difficult to get the Kers down in them last few sections because of what's happened here then.
Oh dear.
Both of the Lotus drivers, like you said earlier, it's really difficult to make the choice. I mean, their tyres realistically would have gone off maybe lap 16, lap 17. It's really difficult to know what to do. Your tyres are going off. The rain really hasn't changed, and both of the Lotus drivers are here put on intermediate tyres.
Is this gonna? Well, this is definitely going to decrease their lead. This is really not going to help them winning this race.
Now, when we spoke about Josh putting on intermediate tyres, we mentioned that there was no spray coming off the tyres, but I know these intermediate tyres do move a lot more water than the options, but we can clearly see some spray coming off, and there is a small amount of grip, but it looks like Pravis looks like he's being very, very tentative with that Lotus. Yeah, we can see a lot of understeer there, and he's just gone off the track.
So if it is starting to get light rain now or settling on the track, oh god, it'll be about 2 or 3 laps before it. Well, it's definitely, if you're on options after 2 or 3 laps now, you are gonna be, well, you have a lot of trouble out there.
Now we saw the temperature gauge on Tucker Harley's car when he put the intermediate tyres on earlier on in the race. A lot worse than the temperature on Pravis's car, but still the tyres are overheating. It's not the right time for inters. But do you think they've just made a gamble here and said, look, if we put inters on now and struggle for a couple of laps, we're not going to lose a full pit stop. It's 25 seconds for a pit stop around here. Maybe they're just taking the gamble, Kyle. HB Snipes then in 5th position, really under pressure now from Crekkan on the dry tyres, who appears to have a lot more grip. Quick left-right, little Hamilton dummy move there, but he's drove around him nice and easy. Gives him space on the inside, but Snipes actually T-bones Crekkan there. I wonder if that was understeer, or is he trying too hard?
Most likely understeer, and both actually. I mean, not happy to see. He's probably not going to be happy to see himself going down these positions, knowing that he's made the turn too early. So, but mostly understeer that incident.
Now look at rear tyres on Pravis's car. They're coming back down to temperature. So this track is coming to him, and we see him going a little bit faster through Maggots and Beckett's now. Let's have a little look at the Chapel Corner. Not suffering with as much understeer as before, but look at the speed that Fire Samuel takes the corners on dry tyres. But he's holding him back. Kyle is holding him back. The straight line speed that Lotus is keeping him behind.
Oh dear. Run it. Oh.
A little bit of contact there, but not too bad. Oh, it's just caught him out there, hasn't it? Samuel's on it. He wants the position, and Pravis obviously trying to nurse these intermediate tyres in these conditions, having to brake a lot sooner. Samuel just wasn't expecting that, and hits him onto the gravel. Oh dear, that's going to cost Pravis maybe 5-6 seconds at least.
Being very gentlemanlike, he did hold back. Not that it made much of a difference, but he did hold back.
Yes, he did, and in doing so, Mr. Tans, again, just went, I'll have that then. And he's moved himself up into first place. Mr. Tans.
And now the battles will continue.
Yeah, is this the first time Mr. Tans has led a race this year, Kyle?
Oh, I must be, I guess. Although, will it? Oh, not much longer, maybe.
Mr. Tans goes a bit wide. Fire Samuel drives around the outside, but Mr. Tans gives him the position. I think he just chose to hold back there. Now we got Crekkan coming up into Stowe Corner, dry tyres, but Pravis in front of him on 4th. Look at Mr. Tans again!
Brilliant driving from those
That
two.
is twice he's gone into Stowe and taken the position. That is absolutely superb. Now, Crekkan is actually looking like he's struggling to take Pravus here. He's carried a lot more speed through there, but as we saw with Fire Samuel and Pravus a couple of laps ago, the Lotus is still quick in a straight line regardless of what tyres it's got on. And Samuel's taken first back off Mr. Tans.
Oh, down the inside.
Nice.
Oh, runs a little wide.
No, that's a nice move from Crekkan there. Same as Fire Samuel's move on Mr. Tans earlier. So Crekkan now up into a podium position. Mr. Tans in second place. Fire Samuel still in first. Lap 22. Weather's not looking like it's really changing at all. No sign of any understeer.
Well, more spray coming off the slick tyres.
You're right, there is. But no real traction issues for Crekkan in that Force India though. And Tucker Harley's now closed up behind that. The timing screen's obviously messed up a little bit there. Tucker Harley in 7th position, going up the inside of HB Snipes.
Was he unlapping himself actually? Because Tucker Harley went on the intermediates, didn't he? So he's perhaps trying to unlap
You are
himself.
correct, Kyle. Sorry, it's not a timing screen mistake. He's trying to unlap himself. But it's not to be. Snipes appears to have more grip on the intermediate tyres than Tucker does on the dries. Oh, there's a lot of understeer for Tucker there, going through Stowe. So we can hear on the Williams radio then, the Williams engineer saying that the intermediate tyres are right for the conditions, and as we flick back on board with Pravus, we can see on his temperature gauge that the tyres are now green, and he's staring at, who's that in front in fourth? JBP, and he must have got past him as well at some point, but he's really struggling in front now. You can see traction issues, and Pravus has got the speed. He's going to go side by side into turn 1. Made the move stick even before the corner. The intermediate tyres are on.
This is definitely the lap to change. All the guys out on slick still. If you don't pit this lap, then I don't know what they're up to.
And we see Tucker Harley coming into the pits and making the right choice this time. Lap 22, putting himself on intermediate tyres. I wonder if he can unlap himself completely, and he'll still be the back of the grid. So not a great race for Tucker this race. Yeah, look at that. All the tyres on. Pravus's temperature screen now in the perfect operating temperature, and you can see on the split timing on his delta top right, he's 0.4 of a second faster, and look at the speed that he's catching Crekkan in front of him. So much more grip than the dry tyres now. In hindsight, have the Lotus team made the right call?
Yeah, well, definitely now. It's definitely paying off for them now. 25 seconds, I think you said, so Pravus will be right back out in front in the race again.
Yeah, so we've got Crekkan in third place in front of him. We can see there is a huge gap down to Fire Samuel in first place. Mr. Tans has dropped back an awful lot, but I don't think it's enough. It's not enough time to get in the pits and change the tyres. Pravus is going to be leading this race again. But after all that time overheating the tyres, I wonder what that's done to the actual tyre wear. As he gets on the grass there and just forces his Lotus a little bit wide, and everybody's jumped into the pits.
Stayed out on his slick tyres in this torrential rain.
Samuel has indeed stayed out. That is going to be a real costly mistake. Everybody's going to do a big undercut now on Fire Samuel as he struggles to get round this lap.
Arsenal is known not to be the best for changing tyre when it comes to these conditions. He's never really knows when to change back up to intermediates or change off from intermediates onto prime tyres or slick tyres. It's always a gamble.
Well then, mirroring what happened earlier on in the race, I mean, look at the rain now. It's really starting to pool on the track. Fire Samuel having to slow down a lot to get around the corner. No grip at all, no traction. And Pravus just casually, calmly takes first place back and says, "You did it to me earlier, I'm doing it to you now." Have that.
Well, HB Snipes was not too far behind his teammate actually, so will he be able to catch up and challenge for the lead? 2 laps to go.
Now we got Mr. Tans in front in 5th position. He's put his intermediate tyres on as well. I wonder if Mr. Tans then is going to, well, I reckon he's definitely going to undercut Fire Samuel here. So Snipes has got past Fire Samuel as well. I should imagine we'll see him changing his steering wheel settings to tell the team he wants intermediate tyres now. Bit of a no-brainer, really. If we go very slowly around Club Corner and into the pits he goes.
Oh dear. So he is going to be undercut by both Mr. Tand and Crekkan at this rate.
Yeah, it's going to be really close whether Crekkan gets in front of... Is that a lag spike for Crekkan? Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, that definitely is lag spike. I think Sam Jones? I don't know. There's a wall in front of him now. Tucker. Yeah.
Now, Sam Jenks is 23 seconds behind, so there's no way he's catching up in a lap in a lapse time. And actually, we've got Fire Samuel coming out of the pits now. And we've got Tans in front of him, and Crekkan's jumped him as well. Oh dear, that was a real bad call for Samuel after such a great race. As we can see.
What can he do to catch up?
Well, he's not got... Let's have a look. No, he's not got any fuel in reserve. He's going to have to keep it into standard. But to be honest, with a lap and a half to go, Crekkan looks like he might be out of reach here. Two and a half seconds up the road. So,
it's possible.
Well, Samuel's looking like he's on the button. He's come out. He's got the grip, and he's really pushing as much as he can out of that Mercedes. Look at that, taking Stowe in 7th gear in intermediate trim. Although the fuel's quite low on the cars at the moment. Look how fast he's going through Stowe compared to his last lap.
That is some ferocious driving.
Oh, he's obviously very frustrated in his helmet, and he feels like he deserves to be in front of the championship leader. And he's pulled back 0.4 of a second on Crekkan. I wonder if Crekkan's being held up by Tucker Harley here.
Oh, I'm sure Fire Samuel's hoping to...
Oh, he's keeping it all together. This is lovely driving from Fire Samuel in these wet conditions. Let's have a little look at the split time.
The gap.
No, we don't see it. Race directors now switch back to Pravus on lap 26. 5,000th of a second faster. And look at this. HB Snipes is only 1.4 seconds behind him. I wonder if there's any team orders here.
Well, Pravus is leading the championship, so I wouldn't expect them to be changing around. Not leading the championship, leading the team battle.
Yeah, well, it looks like the words might have been exchanged because Snipes has dropped back. Pravus takes it nice and calmly, no pressure through Maggis Beckett's onto Park Straight, Hanger Straight, sorry. Into the final section of this lap. And Pravus, if he crosses the line now, will take his first win of Season 3. That'll put him to 4 wins in total. And a Lotus 1-2. Absolutely brilliant for the Lotus team. So Pravus wins then the British Grand Prix.
It's definitely...
But the battles are still going on. We've got Snipes crossing the line in second, Mr. Tan's a second consecutive podium. Crekkan in fourth, but Samuel, look at this, he's close right up to the back of him. He's not going to have the momentum across the line. So Pravus takes his first win of the season, his fourth win of his career, and a 1-2 for the Lotus F1 team. Mr. Tan's second podium this season and second in a row. JBP and Ia, very good. 4th place, Crekkan 5th, Fire Samuel 6th, Sam Jenks 7th, Dan Hoyle 8th, Suples picking up 2 points in 9th, and Jamie rounding off the top 10 with taking the final point. Tucker Harley just outside the points, and we had Josh and Andy Coybe retiring from this race. What do you reckon to that race, Kyle?
That was definitely a fascinating race. Not one of the drivers, especially when the rain is not settling on the track, it's definitely a scary moment for all the drivers picking their tyres. And so that bit is, at the end of the day, Lotus team got it right, and they are taking away a lot of points.
Yes, they are. First 1-2 of the season as well. So we didn't see the lap record being broken. with the weather being so tentative. Do you know what? I mean, I said after China it was probably one of the best races so far this season, but I think Silverstone has really rivaled it.
I don't know. I think they're about similar.
So Pravus sporting his British helmet, then taking his British win. Absolutely fantastic. Really great racing. Thank you very much for coming on the show today, Kyle. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. We wanted to be on here.
And you've done a great job, mate. Thank you very much. And we'll see everybody else when the season returns on the 5th of January. Merry Christmas, everybody, and have a really good New Year. Bye-bye.